It's been a while since the last YouTube episode, but a music video I shot this summer just got released, so I thought it would be a great time to come back to you guys with another lighting breakdown video. I've decided to talk about this project because I did something that I've never done before. The key light was mostly fire in form of candles, torches, and an actual campfire. The whole plan was to be as efficient as possible to squeeze our big concept into our small budget. So we slightly modified the script with Norby, the director, and built the story around practicals. This way we could reduce the number of lights and the number of people to operate them, which meant me and my gaffer were the whole lighting crew. My idea was that the main character carries a lantern everywhere, and we placed two Aperture MC Pros inside the lantern. I needed the Pro version because it has a very wide range of CCT, so I can go down to 2000 Kelvin to imitate fire. And I needed two because one lights the face and the other one is facing the camera, so I am able to set the exposure separately. But the problem was I couldn't find a single one in Hungary. I checked the rentals, I asked colleagues, but none. So I came up with another idea. What if we used candles and fire for lighting? In the past 2 years I became obsessed with the color and the texture of fire during shooting a Pirates of the Caribbean fan film. At the beginning, I always tried to suggest to our director, Adam, to use LED tubes to imitate fire, to be faster. But he always insisted on using real fire. And I had to admit he was so right. When real fire is dancing on the faces and in the reflections, it just looks so amazing. And by the way, Adam was working as art director in this music video. If you are interested in this Pirates of the Caribbean fan film, you can check our trailer somewhere up there, and it's worth to keep an eye on it because our second trailer comes out next spring. So going down this candlelit road, it was clear that I have to use a Sony camera with 12-800 ISO. I made some tests with my A7S III, and it turned out that 3 or 4 candles gave enough exposure to work with. Later the music video was shot with FX6 and with a Sigma 24 to 70 f2.8. Now let's talk about the lantern. The one we used had glasses on each side and they were covered with a lot of wax and soot. But we needed every tiny photon produced by the candles to get a decent exposure on the face. So we removed the glass that was facing the actor, so we got the exposure we wanted, and the rest of the glass became a very nice, diffused, blooming and textured surface. There were situations where we just couldn't place the light close enough to the face, so we used the torch just outside the frame to enhance the fire effect. We had a campfire scene where the bad guys gathered, and here the campfire was the key light. We just had to make sure that we can constantly add firewood so we can maintain the lighting conditions. Sometimes the fire got too bright, but I just tapped down the lens or compensated with the built-in ND. There were scenes where we used torches for practical key light. For example, there is a close-up on the leader of the bad guys when he rises and turns into the camera because he sensed the presence of the main character. This is actually one of my favorite shots from this project. Another scene is worth mentioning when they enter into a tent and they are all carrying torches. When you work with fire, you will need plenty of lighter fluid, rags and several people to put out and ignite the torches. Otherwise, retakes will be very time-consuming. And I have to mention how dangerous to work with fire, so always make precautions because safety first. So now that we have discussed the fire, we should talk about our moonlight. Two 600Ds were working in the background. One of them was responsible for illuminating the tree line and the smoke, and the other one was the backlight for our main character. It is pretty damn hard to make the smoke evenly distributed, especially in a windy forest. In an optimal situation I would use tube of that, which is a long tube with holes on it, with a powerful hazer or a smoke machine, and a vent that is pumping the stuff into the tube. It creates nicely distributed smoke or haze in a big area. I had a chance to use it in a commercial I shot for Origo Film Studio this January. This time I had a far more limited setup to work with. Some smaller smoke machines and a vent without a tube, unfortunately. But it worked pretty well most of the cases when we had no wind. But when it was windy, it was impossible to control it, and the smoke just vanished from the scene so quickly, so we continuously had to push more and more smoke in the scene. And it was obvious that it is smoke, and it looked nothing like a foggy forest. I tried to put two smoke machines in the foreground to cheat a little and give the illusion of a bigger volume, but you can see in the performance scene that it was meh. I just couldn't control this situation given the circumstances, so I had to accept it as it was. Lighting the smoke without feeling lit was the other side of the equation. When I was preparing for the commercial I mentioned previously, I gathered references and found a particular shot from the creator that caught my attention. You can see that the smoke was lit from the side relative to the camera position. This way it is not as blown out as it would have been if it were completely backlit. And the farther the light is, the more even the smoke gets illuminated due to the inverse square law. There are multiple ways to achieve this look. Personally, I used two sky panels and grids in the commercial to get the most even illumination. In this music video I used the 600D for this purpose, with the reflector to get the widest beam angle with the maximum output. By shooting at higher ISO, I was able to bring the lights farther to get a smoother light fall-off. And I also angled the lights parallel to the ground, and this way I managed to avoid hotspots on the grass, and the light just cut through the frame, giving nice edge light on the trees. Since we were in a pitch black night forest, I had to add some fill light to the scene to give the sensor any useful information in the shadows. In the forest scene where the singer meets the monsters, 300D was used with a lantern attachment, and it was placed to his left side because he held the lantern in his right hand. Originally I wanted to use a 12x or an 8x ultra bounce frame, but with a single gaffer it would have been very slow, and it would have been extremely dangerous in the windy forest. So at the end that's why I went with the lanterns. At the campfire scene I used two lanterns, one from the left and one from the right from the camera direction. The reason why I wanted to use two of them, because of the placement of the key light, which is the campfire in the middle. And this way I could use multiple angles around the fire without the need of any lighting corrections. And we really needed those extra minutes. We were under just an extreme time pressure. You know, the summer night hours are much shorter. It was raining. Sometimes we had to pack everything into the van to protect it from the rain. We had to use hair dryers to dry the sockets to make it safe to use. We had to manage the very long cables in the forest, which was a nightmare. So I had to let things go, and I couldn't get always a perfect shot that I wanted. But all in all, I am pretty satisfied with the end result, and I am so grateful for the crew that they helped me to achieve this. Yeah. That's all I planned for this lighting breakdown video. I hope you don't have to wait 8 months again for the next one. A like would be appreciated. You can follow me on Instagram, and if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time.